Now it's going to be a fun time. The next 1 hour is going to be, I think it's going to be one of those times where a lot is said and I think it's time to absorb and have a little fun with it. Now this gentleman is truly special. When I say he's special, I don't use the word special loosely by any means. He's special because not only is he an Olympian, well, being an Olympian in itself is of course a great feat. Privilege of witnessing him live in action in Delhi in the recent past actually, in the 8th Asian Air Gun Championship, where he of course competed and got the gold medal in the 10-meter Air Gun Championship. Well, not only that, one has to know by his demeanor that this sportsman is a true case study in steely determination, in the fact that you can achieve whatever that you want. And he's just absolutely so brilliant. There's a cone of silence around him when you see him whenever he's about to shoot. I believe it's not going to be, he's going to be doing much of the talking here, so it's going to be a very, very different change. He's literally unfazed by anything. Something that I'd like to share is, just before going on stage, I messaged his colleague and his friend Gagan Narang, who of course is also another Olympian, to say, is there something fun that I can share about Mr. Bindra on stage, which the audience might like? Well, what he said, and these are his words, he is a case study in anything that you would ever want to achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving the hugest round of applause to none other than Mr. Abhinav Bindra.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On 6 May 1954, a runner in Oxford achieved what had previously been thought impossible. Roger Bannister ran a mile in under 4 minutes. 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds to be exact. How did he do it? Simply by running faster than he had ever run before. He created a world record, but in doing so, he also created a belief that it was possible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. As a result of this belief, his astonishing record lasted only 46 days. when John Landy broke it by running a mile in 3 minutes 57.9 seconds in Finland. I'm honored at the invitation to address this gathering of business leaders on aiming for the bullseye in the digital world. You have experienced significant success yourselves, and I speak to you hoping to contribute the odd nugget of insight in your journey to even greater achievement. Belief is at the core of all achievement. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, said Napoleon Hill, author of the iconic book, Think and Grow Rich. The current world record for running a mile stands at 3 minutes 43.13 seconds. This reduction of time has come from better physical conditioning as a result of improvement in knowledge of body mechanics, nutrition, health, and training. It has also come from better mind conditioning and understanding of focus, motivation, biorhythms, and body chemistry. But physical and mental conditioning alone could never have achieved this reduction in time. It has also been spurred by superior technology, better equipment, better machines that capture more metrics in ever more minute measures, better feedback mechanisms, and so on. Mine has not been a stereotypical life, but in one way, I was a typical teenager. At 13, I was caught between my father, who was convinced that I needed to devote myself to a sport, to grow into a balanced adult, and my determination as a lazy, overweight kid to avoid anything that required me to get dirty and sweaty and breathless. I decided shooting was the ideal sport. I'm pretty sure it was not the sport my father had in mind, but he accepted my decision. I'm sure your experience with your children will help you relate to this. The thing was, I seemed to have a knack for shooting, and it hooked me so deeply that I forgot my resolve to take it easy. In no time, I was getting up at an ungodly hour every morning, getting to the range intent on hitting the bullseye. I neither knew nor cared whether it was a weekday or a weekend. All I knew was the constant itch that needed to be scratched. I had to hit the bullseye shot after shot. Of course I didn't, not every time. But then one day I did, and I believed I could win an Olympic gold medal. I put in time and effort to achieve the physical and mental conditioning that would prime me to achieve my goal. I adopted the latest technology available in the country at that time. But while I did all this, the world around me was changing. The cutting edge was being redefined. Digital was happening. Instant feedback, better technology, complex programs and algorithms, instant communication. Success became about shaving milliseconds, decimals of millimeters. In the 61 years since Roger Bannister first broke the 4-minute barrier for running a mile, the world record has reduced by less than 15 seconds. Yes, as little as that. What's more, in the digital world, more people than ever have access to ever more capable and complex gizmos. Quite clearly, the digital world has transformed not only sport, but life as we know it. In this new world, what does success mean? For you who are in business, it is meant to move away from simple measures of success, such as great revenue or great profits or great market share. Success is no longer about a moment in time. Today's success is the ability to stay in business profitably over time, which is only possible when you can create and deliver significant value to enough people. For me as well, success means winning over time, performing better than various competitors in different competitions. But is success really that simple? It is not. Because staying in business is a different ballgame from what it has or what it was even 10 years ago. Today, the nature of businesses change, and products, services, processes, and the business environment are changing at an incredible pace. Where earlier I had to concentrate on aiming and shooting better than my competitors, today I need to include considerations of how even my clothing and gear impact my performance. The more variables I can manage, the greater the probability that I will succeed. Lore has it that Cisco is not an acronym, an abbreviation of San Francisco, a city that pulsates with creativity and a special energy of its own. Today, I'm taking the liberty of creating an acronym for Cisco to explain how I aim for the bullseye. In that spirit, I propose that hitting the bullseye is a mix of Cisco, where the letters stand for having the cutting edge, innovation, steadfastness, change, and being outstanding. The first C of Cisco is about having the cutting edge. In an industry that constantly redefines the outer limits of possibility, it must be ridiculous to hear someone talk about the importance of being at the cutting edge. You already know that you need to be at the cutting edge to survive. How can you constantly do that? In a world that is increasingly uncertain, I believe being at the cutting edge is about trying to control as much of your environment as possible. For me, this entails an intimate knowledge of my sport, so I can assess new ways of exerting greater control over its many aspects. But being at the cutting edge also needs an open mind and a willingness to adopt new ideas. How would you react if someone told you on the day of a vital presentation that because of a glitch, you could not use a computer but had to make do with a basic pocket calculator? The likelihood of this happening is so remote as to be almost impossible, and you would quite rightly dismiss the statement as a delusion of a deranged mind. In sport, I have learned the hard way not to dismiss anything. In my constant endeavor to be at the cutting edge of my business, to try to control as much of my environment as possible, rather than dismiss the idea, I took it to heart and practiced what I would do if faced with such a situation. The day came when I needed that practice. Here's what happened. At the Olympics, there are 2 rounds. The qualifying round requires hitting the bullseye to score 10 points per shot. But the 10 shots of the final have to be more precise. And the 10 shot count includes decimal points as well. So hitting the bullseye with the edge of your pellet will score you a 10.0, a slightly better one a 10.1, and so on until the perfect shot will get you a 10.9. In 2008 at Beijing, in the qualifying round, I was in 3rd place, 2 points behind the leader and 1 point behind the Olympic champion Zhu. 2 points takes a lot of catching up against the best marksman in the world when you only have 10 shots to do it in. So I decided I had to be aggressive and really go for it. In the final, you have 5 minutes to warm up and 75 seconds for the first shot. When the scores are tallied out, you immediately go into the second shot. Sometimes, when my sight is out, when I'm at a new venue or after a long journey, I might need to give it 3 or 4 clicks to get it perfect again. But I had just qualified and expected my rifle to be perfectly sighted. In fact, the 5-minute warm-up period is almost a formality. But my first sighting shot was a 4. To put this in context, I probably haven't shot a 4 since I was 13. This was disaster. What should have thrown me completely off balance mentally became just another problem to solve, only because I had foreseen this remote possibility and trained myself to deal with it. I had only 5 minutes to reset my rifle, and 40 clicks later, I was still shooting 9s. My last shot of my warm-up was at 9.1. If you shoot a 9.1 in the final, you're finished. But I stayed calm. I had trained for over a decade, for more than half my life, with this one moment. My first shot at the final was at 10.7. I just laughed. I had got the sight set correctly again. I was shooting like a machine. I can't remember what I was thinking because my training had taken over and I was an automatic. Meanwhile, the two top shooters were feeling the pressure and produced a string of low 10s. I was in the lead. At the beginning of the final, I had no hope. Now I was the favorite and I had one shot left. I shot a 10.8 and the Olympic gold medal was mine and India's. I have found that the more I know about shooting, the better prepared I am to face surprises that will naturally come my way. This helps me reach the cutting edge. But being at the cutting edge is not enough. Today's world is all about change, and controlling the known becomes a relatively small part of success because the unknown is both vast and well unknown. This brings me to the I of Cisco, innovation, which is about using existing technology and processes to achieve new results. I discovered neurofeedback. Neurofeedback training uses technology that monitors brain activity to heal the brain. Because scientists know which parts of your brain perform different tasks. You can monitor different regions of your brain to see what they are doing, what they're supposed to be doing. This helps diagnose problems in patients and suggest possible solutions for their specific needs. But I chose to use neurofeedback training in a completely different way. I used it to train my brain to concentrate on the present moment. This was vital in all areas of my performance. If I have messed up a shot, I need to get over it quickly and focus on the next shot, as if it were my first shot. In reality, it is difficult to wipe the slate clean and behave this way, as if you don't have the additional pressure of your performance in the previous shots. When you are shooting, your occipital cortex, the part of your brain that sees, needs to be quite active. But your Broca's area, the part of your brain that talks, needs to be quite inactive. The last thing you want when you're going for the last shot in the final is a tiny voice saying, "Don't miss." Since it is virtually impossible to control the mind, I had to find other solutions. The solution was to control my breath, which affected the relevant areas of my mind. When I could train myself to breathe slowly in a controlled manner, I found that the correct areas of my brain lit up, and I was able to concentrate exclusively on the moment, on my readiness for the upcoming shot, without being weighed down by the baggage of how I had performed up to then. This innovation had been critical to my ability to give my best in each shot, as I could step away from the pressure of my performance in the previous shots. We are surrounded by technology, often the solution to problems. The gaining of the competitive edge lies simply looking for solutions in unusual places and tailoring them to your circumstances. S stands for steadfastness or perseverance. Nothing can be achieved without perseverance. In the immortal words of Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. After all, it's the only way you're ever going to get out of it, isn't it? No matter my willingness to embrace new technologies, innovate, or the quality and quantum of my training, everything is worthless unless I can keep going. So much is said of my achievements, and yet hardly anyone knows about the achievement that makes me most proud. Today I will share with you what I'm most proud of. I am proudest of the fact that I have never been late for training, that I have never taken a single shortcut when training. This is not a simple thing. I I'm not talking about missing a day of training. I'm not talking about special training with fancy trainers. I'm not talking about training for a specific event. I'm talking about the training I did every day when I was a boy and nobody knew I wanted to be a shooter. The training I showed up for every day when the 5 a.m. cold froze the marrow in my bones and nobody was looking to see if I was late or even if I skipped training altogether that day. The training I arrived on time for when I was winning awards, left, right and center, and the training that was my oxygen in times when I seemed to lose every time I participated. No matter what my performance was, I always showed up for training on time and took no shortcuts. I reiterate, I have never been a single minute late for training. It is to this, more than anything else, that I credit any and all of my achievements. The second C of Cisco is about change. Change is everywhere, unexpected, uncertain, and unpredictable. In fact, even the format of my event at the Olympic Games that I shared with you earlier has changed. How can anyone prepare themselves to deal with change when there is no information on what that change will be, or where it will come from, or what implications it will have? I have found that there is just one way to deal effectively with change: to keep an open mind. Firstly, I try to figure out what the change is, then to understand how it impacts me, and finally to find a way to adapt that will help me be even better than I was before. Everyone has grown up reading and hearing stories of Eklavya and Arjun, so you know that as a shooter, I need to have laser-sharp focus. Focus is about the eyes, but so much more about the mind. The mind is a monkey, and getting it under control is like getting a whole bunch of monkeys under control. I work with sports psychologist Tim Harkness to train my mind to enhance my focus. The only way to enhance anything is to practice. To build better focus, you need to practice ignoring distraction. So Tim set up himself the task of distracting me. On an Olympic shooting range, the maximum distraction you could expect would be a sudden noise, such as someone coughing or dropping something, or a sudden movement or vibration. Even these are rare. But given that distraction, the uncertain, unexpected, unpredictable change can come from any quarter and be of any type, Tim's distractions bordered on the unreal. As I was aiming or about to shoot, flashes would go off in front of my eyes. There would be loud bangs. Things would whiz between me and the target. Tim would clap loudly right next to my ears. He'd tell me the wrong score. He'd mess with my timing. If I had 5 seconds to settle into my stance, aim and shoot, he'd ask me to shoot a little bit before or a little later. In short, he did everything he could to unsettle me. The result, my focus sharpened even more. So when change comes at you, I urge you to grasp it by the horns and keep an open mind. Chances are that you will find solutions that surprise you. O, the perfect circle, stands for being outstanding. There was a time when I played to win. Of course you understand that, who doesn't? There's a problem with playing to win. Once you have won, you have to go back and do it all over again. At a time when you're only as good as your last win, every win is fleeting, ephemeral. When I realized this, I found that it was exhausting to keep pursuing the win. It depleted my mind, my heart, and each time I struggled to find the motivation to move forward. Much like an engine that has been pushed too hard and needs to start again after a short period of rest. My solution was to shift my goal. Instead of pursuing the win, which increasingly challenged my motivation, I began to pursue excellence. It was only when I thought of pursuing excellence that I thought I had a goal that would not only keep me motivated and excited, but also one that came with intrinsic rewards. After all, you can only get the Olympic gold every 4 years, and the prize can be hard to remember in a meaningful way on a daily basis, when you're stressed or disappointed or not shooting well. In 2002, my then coach, Gabby Bullman, told me that I was winning competitions, but my technique was faulty. This meant that I would win only so long as someone with better technique did not come along. I worked hard to unlearn my winning technique and slowly and painfully learn the correct technique. Learning is hard work. Anything you learn is a chance for you to experience failure. Because I was learning a new technique, I failed, and I failed spectacularly in the next few months. Think about this. When you say you want to achieve success, failure is the price you must pay for success. But you fail less and less till eventually you experience success. After 2 years of unrelenting work, I was ready to play at my best. In 2004 came the Athens Olympics. I believed I had a really good shot at winning. I came 7th, though I broke the then Olympic record. I was crushed. All those years of being at the cutting edge and innovating and dealing with change, all for nothing. It was only later I discovered that the shooting platform I was standing on is slightly wobbly. 4 long years later, I was at the Beijing Olympics. What kept me going during this interminable period was my commitment to being outstanding. I was pursuing excellence. If I could nail excellence, it was only natural that I would win more than I would lose. And each loss would teach me something that would lead me to hone my skills to continue pursuing excellence so that I could win more. No one can win them all, not people, not deals, not competitions, not friends. But then, you don't have to win them all. It was when I realized this that I understood that what defines you is not the number of wins and losses that you have chalked up, but the goal you have carved out for yourself and how you decide to devote yourself to achieving it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that if you can read Cisco as an acronym that stands for having a cutting edge, innovation, steadfastness, change, and being outstanding, you would have equipped yourself at least to hit the bullseye of the digital age. Success awaits you, and I urge you to step forward to embrace it. It has been an honor to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Abhinav Bindra. I would like to invite on stage Mr. Ashok Shenoy, Director, Data Center Sales, Cisco India and SAARC, to please come on stage and engage with the